Hi everybody, I thought I'd read you another story. It's called Mrs Wobble, the waitress. You might know some people who sometimes work in cafes or restaurants. Don't think that wobbling is a very good idea when you're a waitress there. Wobble, wobble, wobble with your food, wobble, wobble, wobble with your drink. So I think this might be quite funny. Let's have a look. Mrs Wobble was a waitress. Can you guess which one's the waitress? There she is. She's dressed like a Victorian waitress. She liked her work, the customers liked her. The only trouble was she wobbled. Can you imagine if Mrs Wilson was wobbling while she was reading the story? I think it would make you all feel like you was on a boat. Whoa. One day, Mrs Wobble wobbled with a bowl of soup. The soup landed on a customer's dog. Mrs Wobble got told off. Oh dear. I bet the dog quite liked it and licked the soup. But oops. The next day, Mrs Wobble wobbled with a roast chicken. The roast chicken landed on a customer's head. Mrs Wobble got told off again. I don't think she looks very happy. There she's wobbling, and there's the lady with a roast chicken on her head. Looks like a very fine hat, doesn't it? The next day, Mrs Wobble wobbled with a plate of jelly. The jelly landed on her manager's head. That's the boss. Mrs Wobble got the sack. Oh no! The manager said he didn't want her to work in her cafe anymore. Oops. Mrs Wobble went home to her family. Mrs Wobble cooked her tea. The children tried to cheer her up. Cheer up, Ma, they said. You'll find another job in another cafe. They don't look very happy, do they? But they're being nice to Mummy, aren't they? Do you think she'll find another job? There was no other cafes. That was the only one in town. Mrs Wobble knew this. There are no cafes, she said. She began to cry. The children didn't like to see their mother cry. It made them cry too, and it made their father cry. Oh, we're all so sad and crying. Oh. Then Mr Wobble had an idea. I know what we could do, he said. We could open up a cafe of our own. Where? Said Mrs Wobble. Where? Said Miss Wobble. Where? Said Master Wobble. Here, said Mr Wobble. We can turn our house into a cafe. Oh, they don't look sad anymore, do they? They look quite excited. The next day, the Wobble family turned their house into a cafe. They cleaned and painted. They moved the chairs and tables around, and they changed the curtains. So that's when they're starting to clean it. Doesn't look much like a cafe, does it? There's lots of things in that living room, isn't there? But everybody's busy helping. But look, they've put some tables and chairs. It doesn't even look like the same room, does it? It does look like a cafe. Mr Wobble went shopping. He bought meat and vegetables, fruit and fish, cheese and chicken, flour and a few other things. The children went shopping too. They bought 2 pairs of roller skates and a fishing net. What are those for? Asked Mr Wobble. It's a surprise, Pa, the children said. You wait and see. There they are, shopping down the street. Goodness gracious me, Mr Wobble's got lots of things. Oh, what's this? It's like a till. And there's the children with their roller skates and their fishing net. They're strange things for a cafe. In the evening, Mrs Wobble made waiters' clothes for the children and a cook's hat for her husband. And Mr Wobble and the children made some menus. That's like the sheet of paper that you get when you go into a cafe or a restaurant that tells you what you can eat there. So there's measuring to make the costumes, and there's the children making the menus, and there's the menu. Oh, it's got lots of cakes and jellies and things on there, hasn't it? And cups of tea and cakes, soups, meat and veg, pies and some fish. There'll be lots of things to choose from in that cafe, won't there? The children went to bed and Mr and Mrs Wobble stepped outside. They looked at their new cafe. It's the big day tomorrow, said Mr Wobble. We're going to make our fortunes, said Mrs Wobble. The only trouble is, what if I wobble? Oh look, they've put a sign up, can you see? What does it say? It says, Wobble's Cosy Cafe. It does look like a cafe, not a house. The next day, the children woke up early. It's a big day today, Ma, Master Wobble said. He gave his mother a big cup of tea and Miss Wobble gave her father a cup of tea in bed. "We are going to make our fortunes today, Pa," she said. Oh, look. How nice the children have made them a cup of tea in bed. And they've got their waitress and waiter costumes on, don't they look cute? Oh, the page doesn't want to turn. After breakfast, Mr Wobble began cooking. Mrs Wobble and Miss Wobble laid the tables and Master Wobble went around with a sandwich board. That's a special sign to tell everybody that there's a cafe opening. There's Mr Wobble cooking and there's Mrs Wobble and Miss Wobble setting the tables, look, and there's Master Wobble. The first customers arrived. "Oh dear," said Mrs Wobble, "what if I..." Mrs Wobble wobbled with a roll of soup. "Help!" said the customer. Miss Wobble skated to the rescue. She caught the soup in another bowl. "That's clever," the customer said. Look, so there's Mrs Wobble about to spill the soup and there's Miss Wobble on her roller skates coming to save the day. So the customer didn't get soup all over them. Mrs Wobble wobbled with a roast chicken. "Wow," said the customer. Master Wobble skated to the rescue. He caught the roast chicken in a net. "Hooray!" the customer said. So that's what the roller skates and the nets were for. They're helping their mum. Then all the other customers cheered. "Hooray! Hooray! This is more fun than the circus," they said. Oh, so they think Mrs Wobble wobbling is funny because they're not getting their food on their heads or on their knees. They are getting to eat it, aren't they? That night, Mrs Wobble counted the money. "It looks like a fortune to us, Ma," the children said. Mr Wobble gave them a hug. "And we owe it all to the famous juggling waiters," he said. And there they are, counting up their money. Oh, I'm glad it's worked. The next day, there was a big crowd in the streets. The people had come from miles around to see the famous juggling waiters. Oh, they're going to get lots and lots and lots of customers, look. I don't think they're all going to fit in one go, do you? I think the Wobbles are going to be very, very busy. Oh, the children peeped out. "There's a big crowd outside, Mum," they said. "Yes," said Mrs Wobble, and she began to laugh. Now, the only trouble is what if I don't wobble? So everybody had come because they thought she was cool when she was wobbling, unlike her boss who gave her the sack because she wobbled. That was funny, wasn't it? A wobbling waitress. I could be a wobbling person in school. Do you think I'd be able to get all my jobs done? I don't think so. See if you could make a tower out of your Lego while you're wobbling. Do you think you'd be able to manage it? I don't think you would. Okay, have fun everybody. Bye.